So I have, I'm going to be using this Hixxy Sparkles, which is red oxide, which I absolutely love the colour of. I'm going to be using some Distress Oxides. I've got Chip Sapphire, I've got Aged Mahogany because it tones in really well with this red oxide, and I have Black Soot. And I have the fluffy stuff. This fluffy, yeah, the fluffy stuff. This stuff, which is going to give us all these amazing little three-dimensional bits and pieces. Okay, so let's start with this background here. This is using the red oxide. So put the other stuff to the side for the moment, and I'm going to grab a piece of white stamping card, Crafter's Companion white stamping card. Now I don't need the whole sheet, and so I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to just chop myself off roughly what I want, and I'm not going to waste the card, and I'm not going to waste my Hixxy Sparkles. Okay, now unlike the highlights that I used just now, which is the Frozen Pearl highlights, the sparkles themselves actually have a pigment in there. So not only will we get the shimmer, we're also going to get the colour. And I really, like I said, I really love this. Is like a real, almost burgundy red. It's really, really lovely. So there are two ways to use the Hixxy Sparkles. You can either put it on while the card's dry and then add water, and it is the water that will activate it. Or I quite like to make the card wet and then add them so that I can see where I've got the colour, where I need to add more. So I am going to give this a quick spritz on one side. With my hand, just going to go over to make that wet, and then I'm going to turn it over. It does help in the long run to stop your card from buckling. So now I'm going to give this quite a spray here. And I am then, sprayed my bottle, making such a mess. Okay, look, I'm just going to dry that off because what I don't want is to be opening that nice lovely powder when it's wet and then it will all activate. So, okay, here we go. Got this little nozzle and you just tap it and you can see it immediately. Where it's hitting the water, it's reacting, okay? Where I've got less water, it's reacting less. And for me, I like to be able to see where I'm going with it, okay? Now, yes, you can tap. I do like to shake. If you really want a bit more, you can squirt. But if you do it too hard, it will clog up, not permanently clog, but it will block up in the nozzle and you need to shake it back. So I want quite a bit on here, which is why I am kind of going for it here. But I do know, and I'm looking, you can see the dry bits here where the powder isn't reacting to anything. So I do need a bit more water. Now this is quite a powerful nozzle, so I'm going to take a mister spray this time. Make sure I get it around that way. And so now you can see I'm now activating all the bits that I didn't have before. And you can see this is very, very wet. So you can pour it, make it move. You can add more in. It depends on what effect you're going for. Now, what I'm doing, I wanted a complete background card. So I would take my brush. In fact, I'm probably just, bear with me a moment. I'm just going to get a piece of tissue and just blot this slightly before I put a wet brush into it. Okay, so I'm just blotting it slightly here. See, I love in this particular one, I love these really dark, almost purpley bits that come out as you are as it's reacting with the water. So I'm just going to add a little bit more in bits where I don't feel I've got much colour. Now, I am quite extravagant with this. You don't have to be. It's just the way I want this background card to be. So I'm just going to put a little bit more water. And then with my brush, I'm just going to brush it over. Now, yes, I am losing some of that lovely little sort of reactions. But for this particular project, I don't need too much of that. Okay, see that lovely bit there. Now, as I said, I think with the early one, this is very wet now, and I would prefer it to leave to dry. So I'm going to leave it to dry. And I have one that I did before. So I need, bear with me, mop this up. It's very weird, this whole, like, how many of you are out there and am I making any sense? Well, sometimes I don't think I make sense to myself, really, but hey ho. Right, so that's our background on, and if I show you the one I made, you can see how much more intense. I've made it really quite dark, and I've covered the whole piece of card. Okay, so we'll put that to one side for later. Now, what I want to show you now is a technique for making, doing the stamping with this background. So I'm going to take my stamping platform. I've already got my piece of card in there, and I've got my Festive Fuzzy Santa from Woodware, this lovely stamp here. You can see I've used it already. And you can see I have already made a mask, and this is going to be quite crucial in the technique that we're doing. So I'm going to pull this off, and I'm going to just position it, and then it doesn't matter too much if it's not straight. Oops. And then down, and then I'm using, because I'm going to be using some watercolour products on it, I am going to use Versaclair in order to get a lovely clear image that is not going to bleed when I start putting other things over the top, water-based things over the top. Okay, so let's see. I do not profess to be a stamper, so for me, something like the stamp press is great. Now, there's nothing wrong with that image. I just want a little bit more definition around there. So it's probably me not pushing in the right places. But if you're not a confident stamper, then a stamping press is definitely the way to go. Over the years, I've wasted so many bits of card where you try to stamp, it doesn't stamp. There you go. That is so much better. I'm happy with that now. So we're going to take that out of the way. Okay, so here is my image, and I want to create this sort of mid-90s sky background. So what I've got is I've already made a mask. Now, you can do this in several ways. There's lots of products on the market that are designed specifically for this, where you print them on. This is one of them. But you can do it equally with a piece of copy paper and some low-tack spray. Just all you need to do is to be able to cover up that image so that we can colour him in later. Now, what I did find when I was doing this is all these fuzzy little bits around the edge. I was thinking, oh no, what have I done? I made this really hard for myself. But actually, it doesn't matter if you are not completely cutting out on those lines. It doesn't. The fact that they are fuzzy almost helps in that it doesn't quite matter. So I'm just trying to line this up. Ugh, I need to get his boots. If I can get his boots in, I think we'll be halfway there. His boots and his boots and his mitts. There we go. Work from the bottom up. There we go. That's better. Now, the other thing I want to do is I want to ground him. He's kind of floating in midair at the moment, so I need to kind of give him somewhere to stand. So what I've done is I've taken just ordinary copy paper, and I drew myself kind of like a wavy line, and I'm going to decide where his feet should be. Now, when I look back at this one, I noticed that he's kind of on his tippy toes here. So what I want to do this time is to bring the floor up more to his heel. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this up to cover up there and just fix it down with a little bit of low tack tape. Okay. I'm going to put that there. Now it doesn't matter I've got the bits of tape here because I'm not going to use all of this. It's just this kind of area that I want to cover. Now I'm going to use chipped sapphire distress oxide. Distress oxides are really good for blending and for backgrounds. They are not as transparent as the ink, so they give you a better sort of finish. I'm also using just, bog standard kind of the makeup type brushes. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the oxide on. I'm going to start at the edge, even though I know I'm not needing it, just to take the edge off. And then I'm going to come in and gently around him, just to start building up the colour. Let's take a bit more on. Let's take a bit off on the edge and just start to build up around him. I don't want it to be completely solid. I'm kind of almost going for a snowy scene look. We're going to add to that in a minute with some drops of water. But you get the idea that this is blending over. Now we couldn't, without a mask, we wouldn't have been able to do this because it would have just been much too fiddly to try and go around. This is basically protecting the image underneath, and also it's going to give me a nice little area at the bottom for him to be standing on. So just make a decision as to how far out you're going to go, as to how big your image is going to be. I think I might just put a little bit more up there in that corner, just in case. I think pretty much there. Whoops. Ooh, that was close. Lifting that off. Pretty much there. Okay. Now, while that is still masked up, I'm going to get some water onto my fingers. I'm going to move that one out of the way because that's, otherwise I'll do that. And I'm literally going to do that whole drip, 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 drip. I'm not doing it particularly well on this one. And all I'm going to do then is to take a piece of tissue and blot. And now I'm getting my snow scene in the background. We could probably do with a little bit more over here. Oh, I'm not very good at aiming my flicks today. Oh, that's a bit big, but that'll do. There we go. We've got some nice little snowy bits over there. So now, when I remove that bit, we've now got a nice little bit, and he's firmly sat on the stood on the ground. And I remove here. There he is, all ready to be filled in. I'll just return my mask to its little cover and put that out the way. So I've now got my snowy background for my Santa. The next thing I want to do is I want to paint him. Now, I really like the idea of using the red oxide Hixxy sparkles. But when I tried that, what I found is that because it is very water-based, it is very, very transparent. So what I did then was I decided to go with aged mahogany distress oxide, which is a very, very similar colour, and paint that on first. So I don't have my white ball with me today, so I'm just going to put it on my my mat and literally pick it up with a brush. I'm going to go for a fairly small brush, I think, to start with. And I'm literally going to paint with this. Now, because this is an oxide, it is nice and opaque. I think this kind of darker red is fairly, I quite like it on Santa. Sometimes I find that really orangey red too much. Okay, so this is where I'm just checking that I'm painting in the right bit. I'm merrily talking away here. I'm not really focusing too much. So I'm painting in this coat. Okay. And over here. And all that fuzzy white, all the sort of white bits that are going to be, you know, like his beard or the edging on his suit. We're going to do all that later with that lovely fluffy stuff. Now, you might be thinking, well, this is looking a bit flat. Yes, you're right. It is looking a bit flat. Because in a moment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of the Hixxy sparkles into this and then paint over the top. But if I did it straight with the Hixxy twinkles, all that I get really, and I've just realised I've gone over, I'm going to just blot that. Too busy talking, Carol. We're going to cover that later with our fluffy stuff. So I'm just painting this bit in here. Now, where was I before I distracted myself completely? I honestly can't remember. I don't know. Oh, yes, I was going to put, if I put this straight on, it wouldn't have such a deep colour, okay? So by putting this on first, it's giving us a base, and then we're going to add the twinkly bit over the top. Now, let's look. Have I got all the red bits? No, I haven't got his hat. He's got to have a red hat, doesn't he? Let's just fill in his hat. There we go. Okay. Do I have them all now? No! Oh, look what I've done again. Here. I tell you, it's a good job you're not in the room with me, because it's bad enough that I'm talking just to the air, really. If you're in the room with me, I don't get anything done. So we'll cover those up with the nice fluffy stuff later. So all I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to add in a little bit onto my map of the Hixxy sparkles. And I'm going to mix it in. And then I'm going to go hopefully over the right bits this time. Now, can you see the difference that is making? Yeah. If I'd have just put that straight on without having the aged mahogany underneath, we would not be getting that effect at all. We've got a much nicer red, and we will also get the sparkle in as well. So it kind of feels like, oh, I'm doing it twice, but actually it's worth it. For the effect that you'll get, it is definitely worth it. Okay. Keep going with this. So, I don't know if anyone is even out there. Are we getting any feedback?
About 30, 40 people watching.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Hello to all of you.
Lots of people saying hello as well.
Oh, hello, everybody. Yeah, it's lovely that you're out there. It feels quite weird. I don't know if I know any of you, but if I do, hi. If I don't, yeah, it's probably all my friends have gone, oh, but we better go and watch her. Yeah, so here we go. This is almost done with the red. It's definitely giving us a much better colour, having put that base on before we mixed in the red oxide Hixxy sparkles. Oh, nearly. I'm desperate to paint the wrong bits today. Okay, so we are going to paint the rest of him. We are going to use black soot. Woo! Some black soot for his boots. And again, right now I am not taking too much care. I'm not doing much shading. It's something that, you know, at home I would take a lot more time over. You would take a lot more time over and make sure all is looking very, very brilliant.
Kay Rogers would like to know what colour the Hixxy sparkles are.
The Hixxy sparkles that I'm using, this one is the red oxide. I have to say, of the ones that I've been using, well, I'm going to say it was my favourite. Actually, it's my favourite for this kind of project. The other one I'm going to use later on this afternoon is equally brilliant. But yeah, they're just really, really rich colours, really lovely. Oh. Anyone else got a question while I'm busy just colouring in the wrong things? No?
No, sometimes it will take like 30 seconds for people's questions to come through.
It's nice to know that somebody's out there. Really? It's not just me and you here in this room.
Yeah.
Talking to nobody. No. Oh, bless. No. I think the thought of doing this was worse than doing it, because now I'm doing it. I don't know who's out there. hopefully they're enjoying it. But I'm enjoying it. Causing you a headache, I think. But
Maria would like to know what paper trimmer you were using earlier.
The one I'm using is it's the Crafter's Companion. It's the larger one. Yeah. So this bit will extend out, so you can cut beyond. This goes up to like 6 inches here, but you can extend it out for larger paper. I prefer it because I like having that length. I think with some of the smaller ones, you can't get an A4 piece of paper in lengthways. On this one, you can. Yeah. Okay, so we've done. What else do I need to do on him? Oh, now his belt. Now, I'm going to be sneaky, and Barry's probably going to be not very happy with me. I'm going to snip in a bit of a Cosmic Shimmer yellow, the ink, which he does have. It's Golden Sunrise, and I've used on not black. But I want a yellow belt, so I'm going to be naughty, and I'll probably get told off in a minute because I didn't tell him I was using it. So just a tiny little bit of the yellow for the buckle. There we go. Nice bright yellow for the buckle. I think to do his belt black. Do his belt black. Has anyone online used Pixie Sparkles before? Or the Pixie Highlights? What do they think of them? Because to be honest with you, I've not used them before, not the Pixie Sparkles. And I really love the effects that you can get with them. Now, for his face, we need a kind of, a flesh colour. So I'm kind of just going to wing it a little bit with what I've got. So we're going to take, I'm going to get a clean brush because that one is really contaminated with my black soot now. I'm going to take a clean brush and a bit of the aged mahogany with a little bit of the yellow. It's going to need to be really watered down. I'm going to need a bit more aged mahogany in there. When you do flesh colours, flesh colour really is done with a yellow, red, and a little bit of white. So as you can see, I've kind of got one. I just need it to be a lot weaker.
Donna would like to know if, with the colours on the Santa, do you think she'll be able to get a similar effect with using water brush pens?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Use whatever your favourite colouring medium is. You could do. Does she mean the background or colouring in?
The Santa himself.
Or the Santa himself. Yeah, you can use whatever. If you're going to use watercolours, you need like a VersaFine waterproof ink. But if you're going to use solvent-based, like alcohol pens, then you'll need to use a different kind of ink, like a Memento or something like that. Yeah.
Would pixie powders get the same effect?
Yeah. Well, what I've done here, if you mix the pixie powders, what you'll get is a much more translucent sort of effect. The reason I used the Distress Oxide first before I put the pixie powder on the top was to get that base, to allow the pixie powder to really kind of come through. Right, so I'm hoping I've got a little bit of a fairly good burst. I think Santa might look like he's got a bit of a suntan, but we'll go with it, I think. There we go.